Good evening, everyone. Hope you had a good Saturday. If you're in Europe, if you're in Australia and New Zealand, you're probably already asleep. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's been a good day here. A few different things happening. The news you probably read. Sadly, Godspeed have decided to throw the towel in and maybe think about it for another day. It's a big decision for them. Great effort. Good campaign. You know the background of the vets that are involved, and Taylor and the team, and the board over in America and so on. And we will certainly miss them. It was a tough decision because they'd done pretty well getting across even to the start. They took them a while to find the right boat. They got the boat together, and then they had to do the refit and get across the Atlantic, and they got it happening. And I mean, they don't have a huge budget. They had mostly secondhand sales, and the rig was pretty original. They did all the standing rigging, of course, but the spars were original. Same on Explorer, actually. Masts and booms and things like that, they're all good. So, but sadly, they managed to, I should say that's the same for a few of the boats. A lot of the boats have got original rigs, the production boats. But sadly, they had a problem with their boom. They had to stop, and that lost a bit of time. And then they got there, and then some of the crew were having second thoughts. So the whole thing in perspective, they thought it's a bit hard to try and keep up with it. And time is ticking. Even for Explorer now, she'll set off tomorrow morning, but it's a bit of a chase to get to Auckland in time. And Explorer's a Swan 57. Godspeed's a Swan 51. And maybe not as fast. So the prospect of them arriving in Auckland and actually, arriving either just days before the start or even after the start, it just gets too crazy. So they made the hard decision, and they're not with us anymore. But anyway, they'll be with us in spirit, and I'm sure we've made some great friends, and we'll look forward to keeping in touch. And who knows, 27 might be another story. We've got to wait and see, but they'll be sadly missed. I got a call from Jarrett today from Sterner. Sadly, at that time, I was just in the middle of something. I couldn't take it for about an hour, and I never got to reconnect. But I think that they hopefully have finished all their glassing work, and then Sunday, tomorrow, they'll probably be doing anti-fouling and bits and pieces. And I'm not sure whether they're going to get away on Monday or not. That was the original intention, but I can't give you much more of an update on that as it stands. For Explorer, everything is looking pretty cool. I'm just checking. Yeah, we are live. People are there. Explorer is looking pretty cool. They've wrapped everything up. Spoke to Mark again this afternoon or some time ago, and they were just doing the final fitting. And the plan was to, and I'm assuming they've carried on with this, clear customs, immigration, everything tonight or late this afternoon, and get away at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm waiting for a final call with Mark this evening sometime, and then we'll see him tick off, and you'll see there's some heavy weather coming. They're going to go out, and on Monday night they'll be getting anything up to 50 knots and so on, but it's all from the right direction. When you've got big winds behind you, it makes for fast sailing. So, and they've got plenty of time to get all the forecasting right from windy for the next 7 days, so they know what's coming. And the new furl and everything should be just the ticket. So at least they're not going to be going out into a calm and wasting more time. So that's kind of cool. And that's about all I can tell you. I've got windy up again tonight, so I'm going to show you the comparison between the weather you see on the OGR tracker versus the windy that we use for weather alerts, because it looks like there's some big winds coming, but you'll see that's not the case. There's nothing over 35 knots forecast, so we don't have to give any weather warnings. The other thing is, you might have seen on the press release that we got out, some big numbers coming out from OGR in terms of media and following. Facebook, we're getting a reach of about in the last 28 days was 850,000 reach for Facebook, which is pretty good. YouTube, the views are going up slowly but surely. And one of the things that we still notice, I think we've got 4,500 subscribers on OGR YouTube, but there's a lot more people than that watching. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, helps us. And the same on Facebook. When we look at the comments, we're still only running 30% of people that have actually liked the OGR Facebook page versus the ones that haven't liked it and are still watching it avidly and doing the bits. So if you can remember to actually like and follow the OGR Facebook page, that gives us some hard numbers. We're heading towards 17,000, or we got 16.5 or something likes on OGR Facebook page. Anyway, and the statistic numbers, we don't get the money. It's funny. People think, oh, wow, look at all that. They're getting all this stuff. We have nothing to do with the money. The reason the numbers are so high, it's twofold. One is that, obviously Jack and the team, all of us, we're working towards getting publicity and so on. And marketing, and the race itself is attracting interest purely because of the race. So media are picking it up and people are sharing it and so on. But the entrants themselves are also doing their bit. They're promoting themselves in various countries and venues, and they're all doing bits. And when we do the sweep with Meltwater, they do all our media analysis and stuff. We pick up on all their media as well, so that's why it's so strong. And we were quite surprised when we saw that, because if that holds all the way through, it means we'll be pushing towards 400 million or even $500 million in media value for the end of the OGR, which is good for everyone, and hopefully it'll get us some sponsors in the future, and it'll make other entrants really keen to get involved. So we'll just have to see how it goes. Anyway, enough of that. You came to see the tracker, so let's go with the tracker and see what's going on here. Okay, I'm on Windy. Oops, wrong one. But the tracker's on the right one, so now I'm on the right spot here. Okay, so you can see we've got quite a split in the fleet now. Before we get into this, we actually have nearly 1,000 miles spread from front to back. So you can see here, if we go to White Shadow, or that's area, and right up to Penduick, that's exactly 1,000 miles. So they can look quite close together, but 1,000 miles is a long way. So that's kind of interesting. And now also with Marie and Translated, she's continually pulling away, and around about 200, probably 230, 240 miles split there with Translated. Still not a lot if you're moving at 10 knots, so it's still only like a day behind, but pretty fair in perspective. So we'll start off back here with Explorer, even though she's not underway yet, just to show you what's going on there. I'll pick it up here. Sterner over there, sitting there, not much wind right now, but it's coming. So if we watch this, you'll see what she's likely to get. Monday will be pretty reasonable, pushing this through. The breeze comes in, so they've got a nice northerly, northwesterly to get going. This is 7:30 in the morning, just after they start. And then pretty quickly, if I drop this back, we've got a big system coming across from the west, and I'm going to hit that. And by Monday night, this will be pushing through. They're going to get 30s gusting up to, taking it up to 50 knots, and they'll hold that pretty much right through until Thursday, which will be great because it'll give them a kickstart. They'll be making good average speeds for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, with plenty of winds. It'll hold through to 30 to 50 knots all the way. So that just the whole thing just settles in there with a really good stream there. They'll cut across the Agulhas Current pretty quickly and keep going. So that's good to see. And Sterner can hook on the back of that as well if they get away on Monday. So I'm happy about that. Anyway, back to the fleet now. And you see it's still relatively benign Southern Ocean weather. They're still enjoying themselves. Jeepers. Hang on. I hope this doesn't kill the internet. I've got to kill that. That's Mark calling me right now. He doesn't realize the tracker's on, so I hope I'm still on live because I'm using the phone for the internet. In fact, I better check. That might have just dropped. I'm just going to come back here and see. Nope, still people there, so I think we're okay. All right, back to the tracker. Sorry about that. Okay, so all pretty benign, as I was saying. So White Shadow is 8.5 knots and 170 mile day, enjoying the ride. They're getting 20s, 25s, gusting a little bit higher. Neptune's got a bit more breeze, making 10 knots and 230 mile day. That's pretty cool. They'd have 20, high 20s gusting into 35 and maybe a little bit more. And sea state's probably about 3 meters. So and holding their own with White Shadow. Then Evrika, 7.8 knots, 197 mile day, and good conditions. You can just see it. I'll check the cloud cover at the moment, see if they've got sunshine. 7.2 knots for Galliana with Secure. She's still holding ahead of Evrika, which will keep them happy. 213 mile day. That might be a bit of a big ask unless they've got a current there, but not too bad. I'm going to pick up the size here just so we can see Outlaw and Triana, and we'll just see how far apart they are. Outlaw's doing 8.6, 217 mile day. That's quite possible. Yep. 9.5 for Triana and 199 nautical miles. We'll just see they're very close. They won't be seeing each other, but they're certainly neck and neck, and they're about, sort of probably 7 miles apart. So right on top of each other. And in terms of on the course to, how far back is Galliana? 24 miles behind Outlaw, and Evrika is about 65 miles behind Triana and Outlaw. So all a nice little group. In some ways, as an organizer, it's good to see the bunch together, because there's always a situation if someone needs something or whatever. It's nice to know there's other boats close. So that's all looking okay. And then the Spirit of Keep looks as if she's catching up a little bit on Spirit of Helsinki. So she's doing 9.8, would be loving the ride, and 233 nautical mile day. And in terms of rankings, he might be climbing up a bit. 5th in line honours, 6th in IRC, 4th in flyer class. Not too bad. And it looks as if she's tagging a bit, but anyway, still in the middle of those two groups. Spirit of Helsinki, 9.9. Great photo in the press release. I don't know whether you saw it. It sort of looked like they were going into a bit of a roll there, not quite a broach under spinnaker, but we've got a guy underwater on the starboard side there and really humping along. You can imagine what's going through their mind when that's going down. At least the sun was shining. So if you haven't seen the press release, have a look and check out the photos. They're quite fun. Spirit of Helsinki, 4th in line honours, 7th in IRC. So she is absolutely dropping back a bit, and 1st in Sailor class. Maiden pulling ahead. That's kind of cool. 10.3 knots, 248 nautical mile day. That's really good. You can see she's surfing. This colour here, remember, that puts it up to about 28 to, the high 20s of the wind. It's a northwesterly, and gusting probably 35, 36, something like that. It's probably cloud cover, but we'll have a look in a minute. But the northwesterly, it's usually like that. Now, Translated has got a bit more breeze down there for sure, even a bit more than Maiden, I reckon, doing 11.2 knots. Just push that up, 11.2 and 263 nautical mile day, pushing it through big time. And Penjuic's got plenty of wind. No shortage there. 263 nautical mile day, doing 11.1. Excuse me. And this is always consistently higher. Oh, no, I was just going to say than Translated, but Translated averaged 11.2. So this time it's a little bit around the corner. And now, there we go, back and forwards, the grand seesaw. Translated, 2nd in line honours, but 1st in IRC and 1st in flyer class. So the IRC is just swapping back and forwards between Penjuic and Translated. They're having a grand old battle. So now Penjuic is back to 2nd in IRC and 2nd in flyer class. So that's kind of fun. It keeps them on their toes. And I wonder whether they don't know anything about IRC. They might, because they can't have a calculator either. They're not allowed to use a calculator, because if they got positions, they could try and work it out on board. But I think it's all a bit hard. So we'll see. The one thing I didn't point up, distance to go to the finish for Penjuic, 4,330 miles to the finish. They're doing sort of 1,500 miles a week on this lot, so that's like 2 and a bit weeks. So you're on track for for somewhere around 13, 14, 15, 16, but they've got to get through the Tasman yet. On that issue, before we go into the overall weather, I'll just bring it back to show you the big picture of what's going on. So here's the fleet, just about in the middle of no man's land, just about halfway between South Africa and Cape Leeuwin here in Western Australia. So absolutely in no man's land. They're just above Kerguelen, and they've still got a fair way to go. And of course, this waypoint is up higher here, so they're going to slowly start to head up. They can come down here and then go burp, burp, straight up and over it if they want. They don't have to follow this rumline course that we put in for the calculation of various aspects of performance in the leaderboard. They go where they want. But overall, I look at this and think, holy dooly, this is crazy. Here's 40th parallel. There's of latitude, 40 degrees south of the equator. Equator's up there, so you're coming down. And this is the roaring 40s through here, all very soft, all very benign. And that's really good for the fleet. I mean, there's no big storms coming at all by the look of it. So let's, I'll just play this. No, I'll do the mid-range first. Now I'll come back and let's look at what's likely to happen to the weather and the fleet going forward. Okay, so here we go for coming up to half a day. You can see this bit of a blow coming down here. The northwesterly is increasing in strength, and it looks as if it's going to get kind of nasty, and it looks as if it's going to be big winds, because when you get these purples, that's sort of forecasting winds, in the high 30s, or sorry, the low 30s, and maybe a bit more. It's going to go just underneath them, but some people might think, oh boy, but that's a bit heavy. You can see the real heavy stuff is straight over the Kerguelen, and they just miss it. So the rest of it's just this nice, solid Southern Ocean northwesterly. So I'm going to go back, and now I'll pull up the windy forecast. I come back on here, and I'm going to swap it over to this one here. And remembering that was coming through to the 19th. So now what you're looking at when I find it here, there's windy. Okay, so I've got windy here. Now, this is, I'll pull it back to now. Here's Kerguelen, remember? The fleet was just above Kerguelen here. And Marie is over in the top here, and Translated is up here. Maiden is up here, and Helsinki is on this little curve here of the more color, the more intense bit. And this icon here, if you didn't see it last night, wherever I take this, it'll give me the wind strength. So over here, where you've got a bit of color, it's showing at 23 knots, something like that. This is forecast wind. Get back on the green, you got 15, 17, 18 knots, and so on. And the fleet is around about 45 degrees south. So as I put this up, you can read the latitude and longitude off the bottom of the cursor here, off this flag. That's your lat and long. I'll pick this up and pick it up. No, I don't want to go that far because you won't see it. But anyway, so the fleet is around about here somewhere. That's where they're going to be. And this is where the time scale is. So this is the time now. And I can bounce this forward. I can bounce it forward. So this is on Sunday, 1 o'clock local time, Cape Town, but Zulu, it's 2 o'clock Zulu. 200 Zulu on the 19th, and you can see the weather coming in. Here it comes now. You can see this wind coming through, coming down from the northwest. It's going to come over the top of the fleet, and as it does that, you'll see the wind speed will increase here. You just follow that through. Quite a distinct system. It's the top of a low coming through. You can see the center of the low. This is the center of the low. It's moving pretty quickly. These are all the isobars for the low pressure system. So the center is 979. Come up, this one is 982, 984. So every isobar is 2 hectopascals and so on. So, and it's all pretty consistent. And when you have the isobars close together, it's stronger winds. When you've got a long way apart, like down here, the wind isn't as strong. And of course, being a low, you're going around clockwise in wind direction. But that's a whole, I don't want to go too far into that. But you see already on Sunday at 1400 Zulu, the wind has picked up to 28 knots. And if we keep going through, it says 29 knots, 30 knots. So you've only got a forecast wind there of 30 knots. Now, none of the fleet are lower than this, right? So there's nothing there. The forecast wind, the area of the fleet, is all sort of around 30 knots. If we come down and we hunt for the strongest winds, as we go down, it gets darker. We're into 32 knots, trying to find something that's, okay, we give you there's 34 knots. There's nothing over 35 knots in here, even right down here, and none of the fleet are here. So that clearly says to us that we're not going to give them any weather warnings or anything like that, because there's no forecast wind over 35 knots. And again, to come back to their latitude, they're up around here somewhere. This is where they are. Now, it's only 30 knots, okay? So we can just push it through a bit more. Still all 30 knots. In fact, it's going away at that point. So I'm going to try and get the most wind and show you what goes on here now. We are using the, that's that icon. I actually should be using ECMWF. This is the model that we always usually prefer, okay? And I'll show you the differences. So again, 30 knots, 31 knots, there's nothing there over 35. Come down here, 32, 32, I'm trying to find 35, nothing over 30 knots, all right? And the reason I put that, if you go Icon, it's a different computer model. It's showing a little bit more wind. That's what I just showed you at the beginning, but still nothing over 35 knots. Right. So I bring it back up here where the fleet is. Go back to ECMWF. Now, this is forecast wind strength, and any gusts you get, gusts can be up to 30% higher. So there's a little button I just press on the side here, and it gives us wind gusts. Now, you can see automatically it goes into the blue. So even though they're going to have 32 knots, 30 knots, this is the gusts. You got 40, 42, 43. It's easily going to be gusting, over 40 knots. So anyway, so all of that confirms to me. We come back up here. I don't need to give anyone any weather warnings. If we go for Icon, it's probably going to give even heavier winds. There's 45, 48, 50 knots. So the Icon model is suggesting right down here by Kerguelen, there's 50 knots. Up here, there's 45, 47, 48. So the Icon model is suggesting a little bit more wind, but still nothing over 35 knot forecast wind. So that's how, again, just if you missed it yesterday, how we determine whether there's anything happening that requires a weather forecast. And the other thing is this, because the wind has generally been northwest for some time, the wave heights are probably going to be up a bit. So we're talking on this computer model, the ECMWF is about 4 meter seas from the west at a period of 8 seconds. Okay, so every swell is coming through at about, it's down to 7 seconds there. There is no secondary swell. I'll just check that. No, there's 0 secondary swell, so that's fine. It's all been set up as a northwester, and that makes it easier to cope with the stronger winds. They'll certainly be barreling along. That's why they're doing fast speed. Let's look at the cloud cover here. Okay, so it's pretty much cloudy all the way through, and that's exactly what happens with a northwesterly. And to give you an idea, again, let's just see here, pretty much cloud everywhere. There's no distinct, because this low is distorted, there's no front coming through per se. It's just a low pressure system. So on the northwest side, it's usually always cloudy, rainy, overcast, things like that. But on the southwest side, if you get that, it's always clear, blue sky. Anyway, I'm going to go back now to, I don't want to digress too much on that. I'm going to go back to the tracker. And then here we go. So I'm back on the tracker. I go up here. And so, yes, you can see the fleet's pretty lucky there. They've all got continuous northwesterlies, really fast sailing. This is through onto the 20th now, which is Monday. And again, very quickly it goes over to the southwest, and that'll be just pumping them along even more. And so there's no storms, right? No storms, touch wood. Starting to pick up a bit over here. Some of that's getting pretty solid, but it's still okay. And that's still a long way. This is on the 21st, 18, 19, 20, 21, 3 days out. And Penjuik won't be up to that spot yet. Bit of puff coming from behind. But there we go, right through to the 22nd. So 4 days from now, they've just got great sailing again. And by 4 days from now, just to get out of there, even the tail enders, they're going to be 4 days. They're going to be 4, 5, 6, 700 miles in front. 4, 5, 6, 7. So even White Shadow is going to be up here somewhere by then. And look at this. They're just hard to believe. They're going to be having a nice ride. So no complaints from me. And so I can still expect to have a reasonable sleep in the next few days. So that's about it for tonight, Saturday night. I'll come back here and see if there's any comments. Yeah, okay. Here we go. What have we got? Pat's there. G'day, Pat. GGR, man. 2026, have another go. Jane, not answer phone is okay. Yeah. Jane heard the phone go off. So at least we didn't lose the signal. What's the full story from Sterner? What was the actual problem? There was a bit of water coming in that's led them to be suspect with their rudder bearings and their one of the gudgeons down the bottom on the skeg. So they decided they needed to check it. They checked it, and they realised that if they're going to do it, that there was a bit of an issue, very minor movement. in one part, and it was less than a millimeter movement, but other parts was a little bit more. And they decided to redo the whole rudder shaft bearings and all that sort of stuff. So they got right into it, stripped it all back. They've re-glassed everything, put it back together, and it's one of those things where it probably would have been okay to get to Auckland, and they could have done it there, but it's easier for them to do it here. And it was good to check it before they go 7,000 miles across the Indian Southern Ocean. So that's pretty much the full story. And they've been hoping to get away Monday. I hope they do, but I haven't spoken to Jarrett today. He rang me and I missed him. So Cecile, so frustrating not to have any message or photo from Penjuic. I got to tell you, you're right. And we've sent another note, and under the notice of race, it is actually mandatory to give us some tweets. So there might be an issue there. We're not sure. We'll wait and see. But they've got satellite phones that they can use, Iridium satellite phones, and I'm not sure why they've decided not to bring them in. And we'll let you know as soon. I'm not going to say anything at the moment, but we've asked them and reminded them that it is mandatory. So photos, I'm not sure they've got a photo system because they can't use their Starlink. It's not an approved Starlink. So, and they were given a special dispensation for leg one and advised to get the approved Starlink, and it wasn't done. So that's part of that as well. Okay, yes, I noticed that too. Feels like somebody might be. Oh, I don't know. No, they're a good team on that boat. So David, hi, Dave from South Passage. Oh, right. Okay, could you run through your overall winners in each class determined for the total race? Thanks. Yeah, I'll just go back to the leaderboard in a minute and go through that. So evening from Ireland, cheers, Maiden Factor. Yeah, they're doing amazingly well. In fact, everyone in the fleet there right now is doing really well. We make a good time. Still cheering the maidens on board. Yep, for sure. OGR, it's fantastic. Oh, I'm following the Transat. Jacques Barber, yeah. Oh, don't forget the Globe 580 Transat. Ooh, whoop, whoop. There'll be 4 boats going across there. Ooh, great event. All smooth sailing so far. Touch wood, yeah. Switch tracker to 2000 UTC. Oh, yeah, the time. It's a program thing that they've got. I'll have a look. I'll talk to them on Monday. Okay, that's it. So that's really going to be it. But just to answer the question there, I'm going to go back to the leaderboard and just give you a quick update on the leaderboard just to review it. There it is there. There, I'm going to go back here. There it is there. And I go back here onto the tracker. That's pretty straightforward. You can see stacking them up in line honors and stuff. So here we go in line honors. So I'll just bring this up so we can maybe see a bit more. Okay, so Penjuic is first, translated, Maiden, Spirit of Helsinki, the Spirit of Crip, and so on. Now, that's very straightforward. When I go into the next one, I'll go through the individual classes in a minute, but we'll go to IRC handicapping. So translated is first, and oh, look at that. Penjuic is only about 1958, so that's only about an hour and 10 minutes behind. Penjuic is about an hour and 10 minutes on a corrected time behind translated. Okay, and Maiden then is about 21. 3 days behind, about 3 days behind. And then Triana is coming fourth, which is pretty impressive. And they're about 3-4 day and a bit, day and 3 or 4 hours or something, 4 or 5 hours. So that's not too bad. And then it's about a day behind them to Galliana with Secure. And so if you look at Galliana, 45, Galliana's about 6 days behind Penjuic on corrected time. Okay. Now you can actually do IRC, and I could go down. You can count them off, but you can play with this yourself. Going right down through. So White Shadow, then Neptune, then Sterner, Explorer. Wow, don't get too excited about that. And so we got 3,000 estimated elapsed time to the finish, 3,350 days. So that's about 10 years' time. So Explorer's going to arrive in Auckland in 10 years. That's pretty cool. Anyway, we won't go there. So, in adventure class, if you just want the IRC and adventure class, it's Triana, Galliana with Secure, about a day behind, or not quite a day behind. Then Outlaw, a little bit behind that, then Sterner and Godspeed. Okay, so that's the IRC rating on Adventure class. So IRC and Sayula class is Spirit of Helsinki up there, 45.19. So that's 6, 7, and about a day and a bit behind is Evrika, not too bad. Then White Shadow, a few days behind that, and then Explorer, as I said, 3,675 days later. So there's Sayula class, and then Flyer class. Translated 9, yep. Then you've got an hour later is Penjuic. Then you've got Maiden, again, same thing again. The Spirit Equip is about 6 days behind. 6 days behind translated on corrected time, and Neptune is about another 10 days behind that, I think. So that's a bit of an overview there. So I think that's us done now. And just a reminder, you can all get on the tracker yourself and have a play. So that's kind of fun. And yeah, I think that's me done. So tomorrow we'll see you similar time, go through it all. And yeah, remember to like and share, if you're on YouTube, at least subscribe. And if you're on Facebook and you haven't liked us yet, please like us. Mike, there's a question there. Current versus wind, yeah, and the gullus will be deadly. Not quite as bad as you think, because the big one, the big stream that they're going to hit first, goes down from a northeasterly direction, going south, like heading down, and the big winds that are coming from the northwest. So they're sort of converging at 45 degrees, right? So it's going to cut across the gullus current at 90 degrees. Now, that's not too bad. As soon as it goes head to head, you got a real serious nightmare. But they might be lucky. I think cutting across the current, it should be okay. It doesn't take much of an angle to change it, but they'll be aware of that. Mark knows, he will have plotted the streams, the rivers of the current very clearly, and they'll keep a good track on that. They'll know when it's coming and so on. So they got to cross it. So that's how it works. Can Maiden replace the heater in Auckland? Yeah, they can. I mentioned that somewhere. So no penalty. You can do anything. The only thing you can't do is sail repairs off the boat and so on. They all know that now. So that's it. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. See you later.